hire a business lawyer, but I'm not sure what to prioritize. What should I have the lawyer address first? This is the type of question I'll get from a small business owner when things are going pretty well. She has a few employees and independent contractors on staff. Her brand has a good reputation in the community. She's regularly engaging new clients and offering new services. And she's even thinking about expanding to new locations. Although that might mean taking on a new business partner or investor, and she isn't sure if that's what she wants to do. The person asking this question has wanted to ask a lawyer for help with this or that since she started up, but she never seemed to find the money or the time, and she managed to muddle through as best she could alone. But now that the company is growing steadily, she's planning on expansion, and she doesn't want to rule out pursuing outside investors in the next year or two, who inevitably will be scrutinizing her business much more closely. So she's decided it's time to engage in a corporate generalist to do a checkup. The client doesn't think that she's done anything in particular wrong, but she's also far from convinced that she's done everything right. I'm obviously supremely biased about this, but I think it's a great idea to connect with a business attorney sooner rather than later so that you have an established relationship you can lean on whenever legal questions arise. And the sooner you have a business lawyer on your team, the smoother and quicker any checkups will go, regardless of whether that checkup is motivated by general risk aversion, new business partners, bank requirements when you're seeking a business loan, or a potential sale of the company. As far as what items should be prioritized, ultimately this is going to be dependent on your particular circumstances, but when a new client comes to me with this question, here are the things I ask about first. Regulatory compliance. This item gets bumped to the top of the list for clients in highly regulated industries. At my law firm, this is primarily folks in the healthcare and biotech industries, as well as a handful in beverage alcohol products, airline manufacturing, and financial and insurance products. It would also be applicable to those of you in the businesses of marijuana dispensaries, transportation, pharmaceuticals, and others. Of course, there are laws and regulations that are generally applicable to all businesses, and compliance is critical across the board there as well. Employment and independent contractor agreements. I recommend getting a solid baseline form of employment agreement and a separate form of a contractor or consulting agreement into place as soon as possible. Without that, the garbage in your first agreement compounds over time as you add personnel, and that adds unnecessary risk when it's time to let someone go. Your lawyer can also help make sure that each member of staff is appropriately classified as either W-2 or 1099 and document accordingly. Intellectual property protection. This is far broader than just getting your company's trade name or logo registered with the USPTO. How are you protecting your trade secrets? Does your team's work product constitute a work for hire and the property of your company under US copyright law? Do you have any patentable inventions or processes, and are they owned by you individually or by your company? Don't put your valuable intangible property at risk because you dally on engaging counsel. Client and vendor contracts. If your business is heavily reliant on commercial contracts, then you need a strong standardized form of agreement to use with your clients, vendors, or both. You may allow some room for negotiation, but you'll be starting from a baseline that includes your preferred terms as to payment, dispute resolution, liability limitations, waivers, and more. Investing in this upfront saves you substantially over the long run compared to using each client or each vendor's preferred form, or reusing and renegotiating some crummy shell form that you found on the internet for every single deal. Data privacy and security concerns. This is a very broad category, and state and national regulations vary, but it implicates most businesses in some manner. If you are collecting, storing, or transferring client data in any way, and especially if you handle sensitive personal information, you'll want to discuss compliance with your business lawyer or maybe even a privacy law specialist. Corporate record keeping and governing documentation. It's easy to let this slide when you are starting up, but having thorough and accurate corporate records and appropriate governing documentation becomes critical once you want to expand, take on new partners, borrow money, or sell your business. And don't forget to stay on top of your annual state registrations and FinCEN reporting requirements. Depending in part on the responses to the initial inquiry and my general knowledge of the business, I'll also ask about strategic planning, employee training and policies, optimal entity structuring, and significant third-party contract review. This is just a baseline from which you can get started and help drive the conversation with your new business attorney. If she's listening carefully to your general concerns and asking the right kind of questions, she'll be able to help you pinpoint the most important items to prioritize in the near term. Finally, in situations like this, be sure to be extra mindful of expressing your budgetary constraints. There are always going to be little things that could be done a little bit better, but your lawyer should understand that an internal legal audit or diligence project is not a blank check. She should understand that intuitively, but if you're giving her extra discretion to uncover and fix potential problems, rather than assigning her a discrete legal issue to address, it's perfectly okay to state this explicitly as well. Business owners, what initially motivated you to engage your current business lawyer?